welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Sadaf and I love all things home decor and DIY. Since it's summer, I really wanted to make a woven bag, a mini bag. I actually did one a couple years ago using raffia and I really loved it. And this year I wanted to try and make another one. Since I use a lot of raffia in my projects, I decided to get out of my comfort zone a little bit and use another material and see what I can come up with. So yeah, let's just get into it. To make the bag, I just grabbed some natural rope that I had at home. I'm not really sure what plant this is made of, but I've seen similar ones on eBay, I think. It's very dry, but if you soak it in water for a couple of minutes, it becomes super flexible and soft and easy to work with. Then I grabbed some jute and a yarn needle and fed my needle through one of the loops at the side of the rope, as you can see here, and I pulled on my jute. And I forgot to mention, but you can obviously see it, I bent my rope and then I moved to the other side and repeated the same thing. I just fed my needle through the first loop that was right next to the previous one, and I pulled my jute again, and I'm kind of pulling hard to make it really tight. Then I moved on to the other side again and repeated the same thing on the next loop. So yeah, we're just gonna go back and forth and just feed our needle and our jute through the loops. So I repeated the same thing a couple more times, and as you can see here, I'm trying to kind of just make a turn, I guess, and create like an oval. So I'm repeating the same thing, just bending my rope and giving it the shape that I want. Again, repeating the same thing, just going forward one by one, pulling the jute to make my weaving super tight. And if you pull it the right amount, you can barely see any jute showing. I think you can see it here. And when making the turns, I found that sometimes going through two loops kind of helped. But honestly, this was the hardest part, just the beginning and making the bottom of the bag. But I just repeated the same thing until I was happy with the size. And once I was happy with the size, instead of putting my rope right next to each other, I kind of gave it the shape of the walls of the bag. And then I kind of felt like I needed to have a guide or something like a mold. So here you can see me, I grabbed some cardboard and I'm making it softer, and I glued the two sides and started making cuts along the bottom and using hot glue to kind of stick the sides and make the bottom smaller, if that makes sense. Adjusted my cuts to make the shape that I wanted my bag to be. So this is what I ended up with, and I made sure to have the bottom of my mold the exact same, pretty much the exact same size of the bottom that I had woven. So yeah, and then I was just able to continue weaving according to the mold, the shape that I had. It was moving around a lot and I was kind of struggling to keep it in place, but yeah, I just made it work. I found that putting it on the table like that really helped. And this is what I ended up with. One thing to note is that because I was pulling the jute super tight, it kind of just squeezed the cardboard, but I was still happy with the shape. To finish the bag, I just cut the rest of my rope and kind of just brought it towards the inside of the bag, if that makes sense, and repeated the same weaving technique, but instead of feeding the needle through the first loop on the rope, I just fed it through the loop that was at the middle and then just moved towards the edge of the rope, I guess, until the two ropes were kind of flush. So if you saw the raffia bag that I had at the beginning of the video, it had a white part at the top, almost like a bottomless pouch, I guess. When I didn't want the bag anymore, I just removed the top part because I knew I would use it again, and I already had it, so I decided to use that one. What I did was I just put it inside the bag and used some hot glue to attach it to my bag. And I just made sure to add enough hot glue to have it super secure. Then to make the handles, I just used some scrap leather that I had, and I made a thin strip to add a little bit of a detail to the top of the bag. And as you can see, I'm just using the same needle again, going through the little holes that the rope had, and kind of just adding sort of like a stitching at the top to add some detail, like I said. If you've watched this far, let me know in the comments, are you a follower, are you just passing through, and let me know what type of content you prefer to watch. Do you like more DIYs or more makeovers? And if you do like makeovers, then make sure to stick around because we're working on a major renovation right now, and the first episode is gonna come out next week, so make sure to watch that. Anyways, back to the DIY. I grabbed a bit of macrame that I had just to tie in with the macrame on the pouch. Since it was super thick, I just removed a small piece of it and I moved on to a metal needle just because I wanted it to be able to go through the leather and the fabric. It wasn't really working and I was kind of struggling, but I made it work and I attached my handle to the side of the bag. And the reason why I'm using two pieces of leather is to make it look more finished. I didn't really want to see the back of the leather. I didn't have leather glue at home, so I didn't end up gluing the two pieces to each other. I really wanted to get this video out as soon as I could, so yeah, I just left it like that. I am going to be gluing them together as soon as I buy leather glue. So anyways, yeah, I just kept on stitching and I repeated the same thing on the other side. And that just finished off this project. And my second DIY, it's not really summer related. I was on Macgee & Co.'s website looking at different decor items and I came across a little pot and it reminded me of an aging technique that I'd done in the past. I really wanted to try it again and see if I can make something similar to the pot. The original pot was actually made out of paper mache, but I found this terracotta one. I felt like it was super similar to it when it comes to the shape. So I grabbed that. I grabbed some white acrylic paint, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, and a little bit of black acrylic paint, and started mixing them. I wanted to make like a light peachy cream color. I really like mixing my own colors, so this is what I ended up with. I ended up making a dark, almost brownish color, and then added some more white and made a lighter version of it. I was thinking I could create some dimension having two tones of the same paint color, but obviously, as you can see here, it wasn't really working and they just looked too similar. So I just painted the whole thing with the lighter paint, and then grabbed some brown acrylic paint and I started brushing it while the first paint was still wet, and kind of just blending them and giving it some dimension, as I said. Once the pot was dry, I just grabbed some Vaseline and started rubbing it on top of the pot using a thin brush. Now the Vaseline is what's going to be creating the almost like chipped effect. So the more Vaseline you add, the more chipping you're gonna get. You don't want a super thick layer, but you definitely want your pot to be greasy enough. And then I grabbed some more white acrylic paint, added a little bit of the creamy peachy color that I had, just so it wasn't stark white. And I started painting the pot. It honestly looks so much similar to the inspo pic already, but I kind of felt like it had too much cracking or chipping, and I didn't want that much of it, so I just kept on adding more and more paint. And if you add layers and layers of the light paint, you can kind of cover up some of the Vaseline and have less of the effect. So this is what I ended up with. Then you want to grab something not super sharp, something that you can use to kind of just scratch the little bits of the paint that's remaining on the greasy areas. This is what's gonna make the chipped effect. I felt like I preferred this look over the other. And I just kept on going until I was happy with how the pot was looking, and that just completed this one. So I hope you enjoyed today's DIYs. If you did, please let me know down below which one was your favorite. And if you enjoy DIY content in general, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. I hope to see you again. Bye!